All right, so right before I went to watch the Super Bowl yesterday, I saw a little movie called Hostiles in theaters. It came out last week. It's written and directed by Scott Cooper, Christian Bale, and Rosamund Pike, I believe is how you say her name. Star in it, and the movie's great. Movie's great. Another great movie that's in theaters right now that very few people are gonna go see. I highly suggest everyone go see this, especially if you think westerns are dead. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a great western. This is like one of the best westerns since like True Grit. Which I love True Grit, the Jeff Bridges remake of the John Wayne True Grit. I think it's a great movie. It's one of the best remakes there's ever been. A great western. And Hostiles is another great western. And this movie's ballsy as fuck. It takes place in 1892 in the frontier, the western frontier. People are still settling new areas. There's still natives that are fighting for their land. But, by this time, 1892, natives are starting to use guns and stuff. So I love that detail that they put in the movie that natives are using guns because they're adapting to the Western powers, right? They're adapting to the Union Army. And the movie is really ballsy because it starts with a family living on the frontier, and you see Native Americans ride up on their little house to take their horses, right? And the father of this family is panicking. He tells his family to run. And this is where we see Rosamund Pike's character, and she has 3 kids, and they all start running, and the father stays behind with the gun, starts shooting at the natives. The natives attack pretty violently. They gun him down. They scalp him. You see all of this. And they burn down the house. They shoot the kids. And Pike's character, she's running with a baby in her hands, and she gets shot, but the bullet hits the baby. And she keeps running towards the woods, and she hides underneath a rock. And she is scared for her life, obviously, and the Indians are looking all around for her. And she gets away, right? She hides. They don't find her. She gets away, and she's holding a bloody baby that's clearly dead. And then the title comes up, Hostiles. And, that's a hell of a way to start a movie. I'm telling you, that is, the fucking most intense opening you're ever gonna see in a movie. One of the most intense. And then when you meet Christian Bale's character in the very next scene, he's already has this hatred of natives because he's been fighting them in wars for years, and they've killed countless of his friends, and he's killed probably thousands of Indians. And his commander tells him that he has to transport a Native American chief that took him years to capture. He has to transport this chief back to his homeland, which is Montana. And Christian Bale obviously refuses. And you see his hatred of Indians. It's like tearing him up to even do this, but he's in the military, so he's given orders. He has to do it, or he's going to be court-martialed, and he's going to lose his pension, right? He's going to lose all the money he's been working for years if he doesn't follow orders. So he has to do it. And just seeing his hatred of natives right at the beginning of the movie, after you just saw a scene where you see natives butcher a Western family for no reason, just out of nowhere. They just come and they just butcher this family, burn down their house. And that scene at the beginning helps you identify with Christian Bale's character. It helps you sympathize with what he's going through. It helps you understand and realize that, yeah, there is a way people could really hate natives, right? After seeing what they did to this one family, right? And you're kind of on Christian Bale's side. You're like, fuck the natives. What? He's going to help, get this chief back to his homeland just because the chief is dying of cancer? Just let the chief die of cancer in prison, I understand where Christian Bale's coming from. But he follows the orders, and the journey begins. Essentially, this movie is a giant journey from one location to the end location, Montana, right? And I love stories like that. I love stories where we go on a big journey, and there's an end location that we have to reach, and eventually we will reach it at the end of the movie. And I just love movies like that. There's a clear goal, and you got to get there, right? And as they're going there, Christian Bale is like, he doesn't want to hear a fucking word out of the natives that they're transporting, right? So he chains them up, he doesn't want to talk to them. Even though Christian Bale could speak with a perfect Native American accent, he could communicate with the chief easily, but he doesn't want to talk to him at all. So you see Christian Bale start in this place of just pure hatred of these people. And then they eventually arrive at the burnt house at the beginning of the movie. And this is probably like 20 more minutes into the film right after the beginning. And it's awesome to see the movie sync up to the beginning. I love when films do that. You find Pike's character, and she's in the burnt house. She drags her 2 dead children into a bed and put a sheet over them. And Christian Bale's character walks in, and she says, "Shh, they're sleeping." Like, she's lost her fucking mind at this point. Her whole family's been murdered. She's lost her mind. And she's holding a dead baby. And Christian Bale is just like, him and his men are like horrified by this. And he's speaking in a very like calm voice to her. And he's trying to be as calm as possible. And just trying to get her to, get some water and come out of the house that's burnt down. And it's really fucked up and sad. Like, it's just, you can't imagine like this shit, like this shit probably happened at some point or another. It probably happened a lot, and you just can't even imagine it. And so she's like she's on the verge of fucking suicide, and she's breaking and shit like that. And one of the other companions with Christian Bale, his other troop that's with him, is a black troop that's been with Christian Bale throughout the whole Civil War and everything. And I think that was a great detail. Like, Christian Bale befriends a black person. So now we can see that Christian Bale doesn't judge people based off their skin color. So that's not why he hates the natives, right? He hates the natives because of what they do, what they did. And, and he just sees more evidence of it when he sees this woman and her dead children and this burnt house, it's just fueling more reasons to hate the natives, right? And then they bring her back to their little camp because they set up camp for the night. And she sees the natives that they're transporting, and she starts panicking, right? She does that thing where you're screaming, but you're not making any sound, right? You're just going, ha, ha, that type of thing. And then Christian Bale's like, all right, don't look at him, don't look at him. It's just like a very, like you see where everyone's coming from, right? And it's ballsy to make the natives look like the hostiles, right? Usually in every movie, they try to make Native Americans look like, oh, they were the good guys, they did nothing wrong, they were just butchered. And then the majority of that is true, Natives were butchered by the Americans, but it's not like they didn't fight back. It's not like they didn't kill countless Americans too. It was a war, like both sides took heavy losses. The natives more so than the Americans. But the film is beautiful in showing that even after you see the natives do all these horrible acts, you can still come to an understanding with them and learn to respect them, and sympathize with them. And that's what happens on this journey. And as they continue on their journey, they get attacked by the same natives that attacked her family at the beginning of the movie, right? Pike's family at the beginning of the movie. You see the same natives attack them again. The chief that's with Christian Bale, he says, these are different natives. They are way more violent, like, they're way more violent than most natives, and they will die unless he takes off his chains and he is allowed to help. And Christian Bale refuses, but then he eventually gives in because he does need the help. He takes off their chains. And by the way, Adam Beach is in this movie, which is fucking awesome. Slipknot, for all you who don't know his real name. He's in this fucking movie. I think he's an amazing actor. He's probably one of the greatest Native American actors in the history, of cinema. And, he has a prominent role in this movie. And he doesn't even say much, but he's on screen for a lot of the film. And, he helps track down those natives. But then they find the bad natives, and it looks like they turned on each other and they killed each other type thing. So Christian Bale's character doesn't even get the satisfaction of killing them. But, without spoiling the rest of the movie, I essentially just told you, like, the first 40 minutes of the movie, right? But without spoiling the rest of the movie, because I think I want you to see this, Christian Bale's character, he goes from hating natives to respecting the chief and befriending the chief, right? And helping him reach his burial place. That's why they're going to Montana to bury the chief, because he's going to die of cancer. He has cancer. He's going to die. So they're going to Montana to bring him to his resting place, to bring him to his burial place. That's what the whole journey is about. And through the whole journey, you see Christian Bale go from pure hatred of natives to understanding and sympathizing. And even one of his soldiers that are with him the whole time, he goes up to the chief at one point and he says, "I know you can never forgive us for what we did to your people. Just please show us mercy." And like that, I thought that was just a great fucking line. It was really powerful, and I think it symbolizes not only where that character where that character is now after this whole journey, but where Christian Bale's character is now. Like, that's what Christian Bale feels too. It's a great fucking movie. It's just a great movie, man. They don't sugarcoat anything, and that's what I fucking love about the movie. They show the natives being hostiles at the beginning of the movie, and then at the end of the movie, as they're trying to do the burial, you see white people come up and they're like, "Get off our land," and then these white people become the hostiles. So it's just like the title of the movie helps feed into the fact that anybody could be a hostile. It's not just predicated to one group of people. It's like anybody could be a hostile. I really respect the movie for not pulling any punches. It has such a satisfying ending too. Like, and a happy ending. Like, after this whole fucked up movie, this whole fucked up Western, lots of fucked up shit happening, it has a happy ending. I think that's great. I mean, people say Westerns are dead, but like every few years a great Western comes out, like a really good Western. You know, this year it's Hostiles. A few years ago it was 3:10 to Yuma. A few years ago before that it was True Grit. You know, like, Westerns will never die. You know, they're always going to keep making Westerns, and they're only going to be great. Like, it seems like every time they make a Western, it's a fucking great movie. And everyone should just see this movie. You should just, I mean, if you're gonna pay to see a movie, this should be the one. You know, fuck The Post with Tom Hanks, you know. You know, fuck all the money in the world. You need to see Hostiles. You know, like, this movie deserves your money. Cinematography's great. All the acting's great. A very emotional story. There's a few moments in the movie where I teared up. That's like my standard of films. You can make me feel something. You're a great film. It's a great film, you know? And I really want to give this film 5 stars, right? Like, I just want to, like, it's a 5-star movie for me. Like, I mean, I loved every moment of it. I thought it was great. So, you know, I will give it 5 stars, you know? I don't fucking care if, like, every other movie I review is a 5-star movie. Like, what the fuck does that matter, right? This movie made me feel something. That's fucking great. And I love the story. I love the journey. I love the intensity. The film was wonderfully written, and it had a great direction. And Scott Cooper, writer and director, I'm going to follow this guy now. I'm going to try to see what's his next film, because this guy clearly has Oscar potential written all over him. Like, he's going to win something if he hasn't already. Of course, Hostiles can't be in this year's Oscars, and it probably won't make it to the next year's Oscars because it's so far away, but this movie's fucking good. Check it out if you haven't already. See it in the morning, you know? See it for cheap, you know, if you want to. Or download the movie when it comes out on digital. Like, just eventually see Hostiles. It's a great movie. But yeah, that's it for now. I just wanted to share that I saw that movie yesterday before the Super Bowl, and yeah, I loved it. I loved the movie way more than the Super Bowl, you know? I really could care less about football. I was just there for the party with my friends. Like, I really could care less about what the fuck, you know, football is. You know? Who cares, right? But this movie was like the highlight of my day, and I want to share it with everybody. And that's it for now. I'll see you all on the next one. Bye.